I'd like to call back the regular session, the August 15th, 2017 council meeting, Sunset Beach Town Council. We went through a closed session with regard to litigation concerning the West End property, Jaguar's Lair, and a personnel matter. And there's nothing to report on the West End property or the personnel matter, but there is a report with regard to Jaguar's Lair, and I'll defer to council with regard to that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Yesterday,
Is your microphone on?
No.
And I can hear her.
There we go. Yesterday, I received the latest editions of a proposed settlement agreement and a new subdivision improvements agreement involving the Jaguar's Lair bond litigation. The settlement agreement would propose to have three parties to it, principally the town, Bond Safeguard Insurance Company, which is the surety, and Coastal Communities at Ocean Ridge Plantation, LLC, which is the developer. There are also two other entities in the settlement agreement that's been proposed, known as Angels Trace Investments, LLC, and Jaguar's Lair Golf, LLC. In addition to the versions of the subdivision improvements agreement and the settlement agreement, I also received a separate email from the surety company's counsel on a side proposal between the surety and the town. Based upon the terms of the settlement agreement that were submitted by the developers council yesterday, and subject to one typo that needs to be adjusted, the town has before it the decision of whether or not to enter into the settlement agreement submitted yesterday, with the typo being accounted for, which should be a non-issue, it's not a material term, as well as a subdivision improvements agreement, which would, those two documents coupled with the proposal submitted by the bond company's attorney, Bruce Moss, would effectively, if accepted today by the town, be submitted to the surety and the developer, as well as Angels Trace LLC, or Angels Trace Investments, and Jaguar's Lair Golf LLC, for everyone to execute to effectively end the litigation and to move forward on a clean slate with deadlines and understandings and agreements between the parties for the completion of infrastructure in sections 1, 2A, B, and C. And in the event of future disputes arising under the settlement agreement or the subdivision improvements agreement, the parties have agreed to enter into binding arbitration. We've even gone so far as to select a first, second, and third list of arbitrators, so there would not even be a dispute as to who would be submitted the dispute to decide. It would be binding and non-appealable for the prevailing side. If the loser wanted to appeal the decision, they could not do so. Arbitration is generally much quicker. It can be cheaper. It's less formal, less delay than a typical lawsuit. And the best part is it's binding and cannot be appealed. And so for those reasons, as well as the other reasons we've discussed in closed session, the question before the council is whether or not to move to enter into the settlement agreement and the subdivision improvements agreement as submitted yesterday, together with the agreement that Mr. Moss submitted to me by email yesterday afternoon.
All right, do I have a motion to enter into the settlement agreement?
Well,
And
shouldn't we first put it on the agenda? Or not? Or do we not have to do that? Can we just?
I think it's on the agenda by virtue of being a designated subject on the closed
I move
session.
we accept the settlement agreement as presented by Attorney Richardson.
and
the SIA agreement also,
As well as Mr. Moss's email terms.
as well as Mr. Moss's email terms.
all right, any discussion? Not appearing.
Oh,
sorry.
with the typographical
With the
error
typographical
being
correction.
adjusted as well.
As
Fixed.
council has represented. Any further discussion? Not appearing. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank
What
you.
I'd like to do is take a minute to have you execute these, Mayor
Okay.
Forrester. Tell you what, let me get it ready, because I got to
Okay.
find the typo
Mr.
Page-
Serrato,
Bottom of page 4.
of the settlement agreement.
while you're doing that, Mr. Serrato, you wanted to make a statement with regard to the public comments, agenda items only?
Yes, I did before
Is it 3 or 4?
before the, yes, I did, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
Is that a normal way of doing things?
Well, actually, it's not on here. We normally would have a comment, because there's about 3 comments that I wanted to make from council people or the mayor, that I wanted to make to bring to council's attention. So, unless somebody really objects to it,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am requesting the council that I be recused concerning the park rules. In light of the recent Beacon article titled "Waterfront Market Changeover Questioned in Sunset Beach," and being a member of the Sunset Beach Merchants Association, I find it necessary, in order to avoid even the slightest appearance of any impropriety or a conflict of interest, to totally recuse myself from any discussion regarding this matter. The Sunset Beach Merchants Association was formed nearly either 5 or 6 years ago. As mayor at the time and not a merchant, the council held a meeting at the Sea Trail Convention Center.